Welcome to Dollars and Cents with your host, Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman from Falcon Financial Management.
With your hosts, Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman. Jeff Davis, Certified Financial Planner, President of Falcon Financial Management, creator of the Integrated Wealth Management Process, and a man recognized by Barron Magazine as one of the top 500 independent advisors in the country. Recently nominated into the University of Florida Athletic Hall of Fame in the category of wrestling. My name's Chris Coleman. I'm the managing partner at Falcon Financial Management and a man who's digested a bagel and very happy to be here with you this morning. Behind the glass, we have Lisa Meadows. Lisa, how are you today?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing great. How do you get that bubbly smile thing going
I'm just
down
a Florida
every
girl
day?
Through and through. I love where I am. I love where I live. I love my surroundings.
Oh, fantastic! Fantastic. I have to give a shout out before we get wrapped up into something. I had a bout with pink eye yesterday.
No.
And Dr. Tiffany Monahan at Eyeglass, I Realize Laying Eye Care, does a show right after us. He does a great job. But if I didn't give a shout out to Miss Tiffany for getting me in there and getting me the eye drops, it would have been a long weekend for Mr. Coleman. So, Tiffany, thank you very much. And also Nancy in her office, who straightened out my eyeglasses so I could have vision this weekend. It's great appreciation there. Mr. Davis, how are you today? You're looking good as always. Well,
I'm glad that I'm glad you think so. I'm maybe I'm not.
Well, we have faces for radio, so I can see. Wow, you look fantastic. Your tuxedo is terrific this morning.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. 15 years of wearing the same tuxedo. Me and James Bond. Boom. There we are.
Bada boom, bada bing. Well, folks, as you know, we've been talking for a while now about the University of Florida professors and Santa Fe College, and we have an event coming up on March 12th at 12 o'clock at Fairs on the Avenue. It's our Planning for Life seminar, a program that's designed to, and particularly designated for folks who work at the University of Florida, the uniqueness of their retirement plans and the unique set of issues that they face. Once again, that's March 12th, 12 o'clock at Fairs on the Avenue.
And I would describe it more as a workshop than I would a seminar. It's
well said.
We're not going to. The idea of this is that we've committed ourselves over the next 3 years. We're going to be introducing 4 of these meetings this year, and in these meetings, we're going to bring in an expert. So, for example, we're going to have someone who's experienced with state retirement benefits. They'll come in, we'll talk about the different types of state retirement benefits, what these folks can expect when they get ready to retire, what's going to be available, what do they need to do to prepare for it. We're going to have someone who can talk about Social Security. We're going to have someone talking about taxes. We're going to have someone come in and talk about other issues like long-term care. Do people need to pay attention to it? Do you need to even consider it? What are the alternatives? Have you got your wills, trusts, all of those things put in order? So we'll have an attorney who we work with at one point showing up to talk about these things. So these workshops are designed as over the next 3 years. We have 4 this year, 6 next year, and 6 the year after that right now scheduled. They're going to be opportunities for us to reach out and hopefully provide some ideas to people about what it's going to take to get to retirement and what it's going to take to get through retirement. 2 separate issues, but intricately intertwined.
And giving those folks the idea to bring their questions directly to them. And very interactive experience. Also. But, folks, if you'd like to RSVP for the event, please give our office a call.
Or if you want more information, sure.
Oh, correct. Please give us a call. The office is 352-375-7977. That's 352-375-7977, or you can check us out on the web at www.ffmonline.com. Also, it's $10 that will be at the door that will go to a charity that it will be randomly drawn.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a lunch for everybody, and we're going to basically have turkey or, ham or something. So there's could be 2 choices and some drinks and things. Pick the food you want, and then make a donation for the food. So the donation is for the food; it's not for the workshop.
Correct.
It's for the for the food. And then, we want to take the money and do something with it. So whatever we end up with at the end of the, everybody's going to give us their choice, and we'll draw one of the charities here in town, and hopefully we'll have a couple $100 that we can share with somebody, and that helps every charity in town when you can do anything like that. So it's going to be hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. We'll answer a lot of questions. We'll be there to try and give you some ideas about the economy, about what it's taking for retirement. I'm going to be my own guest speaker at the first one. I looked hard and up, down, all over the place trying to find someone adequate, and I finally just had to pick me.
Just so you know, folks, we wanted Jeff to do the first one to be able to structure what the format of the event was going to look like. And Jeff was the logical choice, as he'll be attending every one. He says, "What? What?
Dude, you didn't tell me that, partner."
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have you there.
All right. Just roll me out. I know we've got Bob on the line here.
Oh, hey. Bob, how are you today? You're on the air.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I know this is going to be extremely off topic for you, but I really didn't know where else to turn to ask this question. Recently, my wife and our mailbox has been flooded with unsolicited credit card applications, and they're not in my name. And I mean, we built the house 30 years ago, have never been out of occupancy, so the named occupant has never been there. And we send them back, not to, occupant not here or whatever, and it doesn't stop them. So I called them earlier this week and said, listen, boys and girls, you keep sending me advertisements, and number one, they're not to the right addressee, and I'm not interested in your solicitation anyhow. So how do we take my address, because it's not in my name, off their rolls? Well, they said that they will do that, but I'm wondering, is somebody else getting unsolicited advertisement for credit card applications in my name, and they're picking up the deal?
Could be. Bob, have you checked your credit reports?
About a month ago, and there was nothing abnormal on it.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to be able to monitor this is to keep an eye on your credit report. There's some services that aren't very expensive, or even some that claim to be free. But you can check your credit scores on a pretty regular basis, or you can see information. So on your credit report, there should be a portion. It's depending on what your report looks like, it's usually at the back. But what are the people that have sent you unsolicited emails or mail about credit reports? So they're buying, for the most part, they're buying a lot of this information from credit reports and things of that nature, buying these mailing lists and then sending them out. So I know on the Experian, there's a place that shows not only the ones that you've requested, but the ones that have been sent to you. I would look at that and see if there's any that are being sent in your name to a different address. And then I would, if it's a big problem, if anybody ever shows up on that in that process, make sure you contact your local authorities. You go to the GPD or go to the Alachua County Sheriff's Office, and they've got programs that they can put in place that are designed to try and help people who might be sniffing around trying to steal the identities. I know that I get over at my house, I probably get anywhere from 6 to 10 of those a week. They come to, my name, but I don't know, all of a sudden I'm getting them out of like crazy. So I don't know where they're getting these lists. I don't know where this stuff comes from, but there must be money in it because they're spending a lot of money. They're slick, they're not cheaply produced. So they must be getting a lot of people that are bouncing these back to them. But I would start with my credit report right now, and that's where I would try and isolate or protect, make sure that I'm protected from somebody using my name at a different address.
Okay, very good.
All right, Bob?
See, I called the right number.
Way to go, Bob. Way to go.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks,
Have a
Tony.
great
Have a good
weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. We do this Leadership Gainesville thing.
You do Leadership Gainesville. What is Leadership Gainesville?
It's a program offered by the Chamber of Commerce. They take a certain number of individuals that you submit an application to apply, and
There's about 40 in each class?
correct, and we're class 39. But it's different business leaders throughout the community from a wide range. We have independent businessmen, folks from the University of Florida, Santa Fe Community College, and the idea is that you get a chance to know your community a little better. Did a police ride along. Next month we'll go up to Tallahassee and see the legislature, that sort of thing. We'll have a medical shadow. But we had a presentation from the Gainesville Police Department and also from the Alachua County Sheriff's Office as well. And one of the topics that came up was about identity theft and what a growing organized crime, how structured they are, and how big a deal that, and how difficult it is to protect individuals in that regard. It's probably the fastest growing, if not the largest, segment of organized crime currently.
Well, it's easy, and for the most part, it's hard to get caught. So,
I know, but now I'm going from the image of like Tony Soprano and the glass of wine in the Italian restaurant to the guy with the glasses sitting at the computer over in Russia. And
he works for Tony Soprano with the glass of wine. Trust me.
Your Italian heritage isn't letting that go?
Well, no. If he's not Italian, he's Bulgarian, or he's some German. I mean, a Russian with a glass of vodka instead of a glass of wine. But, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
He's doing the same thing.
Guys, I would say also watch out for those apps you might get on your phone, whatever kind of phone you have. And most of us never read, the rules that come with it. The thing you click yes or no, you just click yes usually. A lot of those things allow for what's called data mining, which means they can go behind your computer like many offices can and get a lot of personal information. And you don't know whose hand is in that, who's dealing with that. And there might be an unscrupulous person involved in one of those companies. So it could happen that way. And I've always said, watch your own bank account.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you'll notice something that's not supposed to be there that's there.
One of the things that they'll do is Bing your checking account. In other words, they'll try and send pennies through, or something like that. So if you see an oddity on your bank statement when you get it, and that may be another way that you're alerted. So if somebody's, where is this deposit for 14 cents? I didn't make this. It's them testing. The system.
Seeing if you're reconciling your own account a little bit, even though you may have accountants and count on other people in the end to do a lot of stuff, but you need to really look at it yourself.
That's the best way to embezzle money, a little bit at a time.
Well, when you think about it, what happens to the rounding error of anything over a penny?
Right. Yes, that's a good point. Yes.
Well said.
Where does that money go anyway?
Did you see the movie Office Space?
No.
It was like 10 years ago. It was a comedy about this guy who's just fed up, and he has one of his friends is like a computer genius, and he figures out that in all the transactions, they're fed up with their boss because he's a real obnoxious jerk or whatever, so they figure out that we're going to take the tenths of a cent that run through this company all the time, and no one will ever notice. Well, after the first day, he's got like $1.5 million because he's picked up. He's like, what are we going to do? But the whole thing of finding out where that tenth of a cent goes adds up to a lot.
Well, I actually think the banks are allowed to retain it. It's to a certain percentage. But the point is, somebody else could have a computer program come from your computer, come from your phone, come from a lot of places today, because money and wealth is not really money and wealth in the sense that it was how much gold, how many diamonds, how many horses, how much land you had. That was how you measured wealth 150 years ago. Today, it's what's on a piece of paper that's listed somewhere else and monitored by somebody else.
You remember we recently went to Denver, Colorado to meet with our broker-dealer to get some consulting in regards to the business. Do you remember the lady that we were on the airplane with? What company she was with?
Yeah.
A big. And I'm brain lock.
Cisco.
Thank you very much. And we asked her, well, what's the future hold? And she had been there a long time, and she talked along the lines of data mining, that idea of gathering all that information about individuals.
So that's what she was in Denver to do. It was a process that Cisco's doing of data. They called it the Big Think or something.
Yeah, but it was rather alarming. They were using it for the idea of being able to present to company how to market to. All right, your target market is 35 to 45. This is what these guys, and these are the images you have to show them and everything that they want to hear. But it's still the idea of being able to sample so much information.
Well, Google is presently changing the metrics so that they're going to actually be able to allow a producer, an advertiser, to be able to buy even more specific, like a zip code. I want 32601, and I only want people that wear glasses in 32601. And it'll mine. They're going to be able to be that precise with their advertising, and that's what this whole process of data mining has been. Theoretically, as a way of providing a better experience, a more personal computer experience. Here's something that you liked. Here's something else that you might like that's just as good. Or here, if you're shopping for things that are less expensive, here's a way of doing it. Those are the good things. But every time you do something, you have unintended consequences, and it's the law of unintended consequences that continue to ripple through all of these things.
Guys, have you ever seen Tom Cruise in Minority Report?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to. It's a good movie, and it's like some of the Steven Spielberg movies, or maybe the old Isaac Asimov books and things like that. Who technologically they I don't know if they knew it or not. If there's think tank people helping them write these books,
sure there are.
They knew things coming into the future, and some of the things in that movie, Minority Report with Tom Cruise, is actually some of those systems have already been, let out to the public this year that they exist now.
I tell stories about finding some old high school books. So these are 1960s, and one of the books was "What Will Life Be Like in the Next Millennium?" So it's talking about the year 2000. And
all those years away.
All those years away. Wow. And a couple of things that it was what were people going to do with all of their free time? Because computers would do everything. You just have enormous amounts of free time. I don't.
Yeah.
But
computers, they work harder and have to work faster to keep up.
Computers do a lot.
Because they hired less people and you have to do more work.
Yeah. And then
with the computer.
And then one of the other things they were talking about, people wouldn't be carrying around money. They would have these little plastic cards. So back in 1960, they were talking about debit cards and with magnetic strips and things like that.
Star Trek?
Oh yeah, or Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. It had satellite communication in it, and it was made in the 40s and 50s.
Well, the Star Trek with the handheld devices.
You're right. Oh my goodness!
You thought, wow, I'd like to have this. And well, you got a cell phone or an iPad now.
With the GPS and everything else.
We know where you are.
Dematerialization.
I don't think we've had that one. When you start talking about separating my molecules and then moving them,
and then putting them back together.
I'm hoping that
I've got too many molecules. I don't want that happening.
Well, and if they don't go back in quite the right way.
Exactly.
Okay,
my nose didn't go there.
Yeah, new look. Picasso has been designing.
I hope he's not a foreteller of the future.
Oh my gosh.
There was. I want to change our direction here for a few minutes. I want to talk a little bit about sequestration.
Outstanding.
Because I had this thought, and I wanted to talk about it, share this idea with you. But isn't it interesting what sequestration is? It's another made-up Washington word. I mean, it didn't. I mean, who used this word sequestration for anything except for maybe sequestering, part of your hard disk? That was the part that I thought of. But they've made up this word sequestration. And they're talking about how bad things are going to be. And I bought into the dangers for a while. And I think that it's more emotional because I played with some numbers the other day, and do you know how many zeros there are in a trillion?
No, but I'm sure if
12. 9 in a billion, and 12 in a trillion. So $3.5 trillion. If you took $3.5 trillion and you took $85 billion and you get rid of 6 zeros in both of them, you end up with $3,500 and $85. If you could envision, I have a hard time trying to envision $3.5 trillion of anything.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine 3,500.
Yeah.
And billions the same way, but I can imagine $85. The effect of sequestration, if it was applied just to the budget.
Jeff, forgive me. Back me up to sequestration. When you say sequestration, I think of the cuts that have to be made in regards to, and the artificially imposed deadline of those.
It's not artificial. They put in a deadline and said,
Mm-hmm.
And they all knew what they were doing. They don't like the result that they've got, so now they're blaming each other, and I think it's just odd that...
What a surprise.
I think it's interesting that, Mr. Obama wanted it inserted in there.
Mm-hmm.
He signed the bill. It was his idea, and he signed the bill, and now it's somebody else's fault.
Oh, I thought you said Mr. Orwell for a second.
Could be. Yeah. But he's. You go to the other side. They're just these guys. I don't know what they. I mean, tell me that they're all a bunch of crack addicts, and I'd understand what's going on up there because they make no sense. And maybe maybe we had some explanation. It would, but sequestration is, and it's really not a cut. It's. You have to understand that they use what they call baseline budgeting. That means that if I budgeted $1 last year, I budgeted $1 last year, and I budgeted for $1.05 this year and $1.10 next year. And what they're talking about doing is not reducing it from $1 to 95 cents. They're talking about reducing it from $1.05 to $1.04.50.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean. There's not a huge now that they don't have more flexibility in where the money is going to be cut is, I think, a more of a negotiation point. Don't be surprised if they give them some ability to move money from in the military from this from this to this today.
Mm-hmm.
But if that, in fact, the people were talking about the relief that we just gave for Hurricane Sandy. Do you know how much money that was? $60 billion. We're talking about $60 billion we just did in relief. This cut is, the effect of it is about the same size as the relief bill that they just produced for Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
So how did they do that? I don't know, but it's not a huge number. On $3,500. If I tell you you got to cut $85 out of your $3,500 budget, do you think that's really very hard?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
It's
not if I want my country to survive. It's not hard for me at all.
I mean, even if it was just you at home,
come on,
your salary
one less latte,
just about,
really?
about. But there's something that we're doing that maybe need all those channels on your box, your DVR at home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the $85. And it could be that simple that there's things that are, I'm sure, abused, taken advantage of in as big a budget as $3.5 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too much money for there not to be some places to save money. And $85 billion.
Wait, you're talking too logical, Jeff. That's the government. Don't go getting all crazy on us.
Well,
but you're a great point. When you reduce it down to the 35, it's something that you can wrap your mind around.
It's not as when they talk about, and when the president stands there and he's got all those firefighters and everybody standing behind. The federal cuts those guys aren't paid by the feds.
Mm-hmm.
They're paid by cities and counties. They're the fact that we're cutting $85 billion from the federal budget isn't going to mean they're going to lose their job. Maybe it's going to take more time to get through a big airport. So it takes an hour rather than 30 minutes, or it takes an hour and a half. If I got to get there half an hour early, stand in that line for 30 more minutes so that we actually can bring our country's budget into balance over the next 10 years, then so be it. Because if it's not that, it's got to be something else. Mm-hmm. And if we don't want to make any changes in Social Security, which is,
But how transparent are their books? It's like baseball owners, Are they really going to open it up and say, here it is, take a look. What do you think we should do?
Well,
it should be.
It is your money.
Yeah, I know. I
Hey,
agree.
don't insult the baseball owners.
Well, that was always the deal for, it was funny to me in baseball that, it's like, they cost so much money to run these teams. Well, show us. Well, we can't exactly do that. Mm-hmm. Kind of feel the same way as if it's...
This is all politics.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about power, and it's all about money. Don't mistake any of what goes on as being anything but power and money. Mm-hmm. When you strip it all away, everything that goes on is about power and it's about money. And what's going on in Washington is power and money. The money that to be able to help their constituencies. Mm-hmm. If the more liberal Democrats, their constituency isn't the tobacco farmer. Mm-hmm. Their constituency is a different person, and they are going to do what's best for their constituency. They'll frame that as what's best for America, but it's their constituency. And I just think I'd like people to. I expect there's going to be a rough week in terms of the stock market. We've got unemployment issues that are coming up. We've got this sequestration, which is going to dominate the news. I heard somebody use the example. This is like, a hurricane's been coming, and everybody's been talking about this hurricane for weeks. And it turns, and all we get is a light dusting of rain. Mm-hmm. That's what this is going to be. We're, no, the hurricane. Oh, it wasn't that bad.
Well, it's like Y2K and
yeah,
a long laundry list of those kinds of things.
The world is not going to come to an end.
Well, there we go. Jeff, I think it's time for us to pay some bills here. If you'd like to give us a call at Falcon, the phone number is 352-375-7977. That's 352-375-7977. Or you can check us out on the web at www.ffmonline.com, www.ffmonline.com. And don't forget, folks, the Planning for Life seminar.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Join us next week at this time for Dollars and Cents with Jeff Davis and Chris Coleman from Falcon Financial Management on News Talk 97.3 The Sky.